Welcome to the Eye Opener. I'm your host, Michael Lewis. New leaked bombshell documents suggest the Wuhan Institute of Virology may have been conducting gain-of-function work years before the pandemic. And the Wuhan scientists, along with EcoHealth Alliance President Peter Daszak, were seeking funding from the Defense Department in 2018 for their research. How did the Biden administration solve the crisis of thousands of Haitian migrants camping under the Del Rio Bridge? Catch and release, or just release? The final audit reports from Arizona are now available. Senate President Karen Fann has forwarded the findings to Attorney General Mark Brnovich for further investigation. Okay, my friends, let's take a closer look together. A week ago, more than 15,000 illegal migrants, mostly from Haiti, gathered under the international bridge in Del Rio near the Texas-Mexico border. You wonder how the Biden administration quelled this new border crisis. They let most of them in. Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas told Fox News on Sunday that somewhere between 10,000 and 12,000 were released into the United States. That's the best answer the DHS secretary could give? 10,000 to 12,000? That's a big difference. Mayorkas even said, quote, "It could be even higher." We don't believe that the DHS doesn't have this number, but the secretary, out of certain concerns, didn't want to tell us. Mayorkas was not being honest with Americans. Besides the number of illegals they let in, there are several more lies from the secretary that have been debunked. Mayorkas said, what they do is follow the law as Congress has passed it. Mayorkas has to tell us which law specifically his department is following. Did he mean Title 42 or the reinstated Remain in Mexico policy? Title 42 allows border agents to turn away migrants due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Only because of pressure from far-left Democrats did they not enforce Title 42. Meanwhile, the Remain in Mexico policy requires asylum seekers to wait in Mexico until their cases are heard. The Biden administration ignored court orders. Texas will have to go back to court to force them to comply. What is the Biden administration going to do with the 12,000 or more already released into the country? Mayorkas said those people will be monitored and they will ensure their appearance in court. These are purely empty words. The DOJ estimated in 2017 that 43% of illegal immigrants released didn't show up to their court hearings. Why would they? They just made the long and dangerous journey to the U.S. and they got in. They entered the country illegally and you expect them to come to court to be expelled? Seriously? This is like letting someone commit a crime, escape, and then spend 10 times more effort looking for the person to hold him or her accountable. No rational person would possibly do this knowing there was a chance to prevent the crime from happening in the first place, unless you wanted the crime. Mayorkas also said they don't agree with building the wall. He claims the law provides that individuals can make a claim for humanitarian relief, and that's one of our proudest traditions. The secretary is misleading the public here. The border wall and claim for humanitarian relief are two totally separate issues. The wall prevents illegal crossing by migrants. If someone comes here for humanitarian relief, there's a legal process designed for that. The person could go to an official border entry and submit the claim. American tradition never said the country should go borderless. Rather, America must protect the security of its border. One last lie needs to be debunked here. Mayorkas claimed the 11 million illegal residents already in the U.S. is a compelling reason why there's consensus that the immigration system is broken and legislative reform is needed. Well, the immigration system is broken in a way because we simply cannot handle this many illegals coming in on a monthly basis. But by immigration reform, Mayorkas means mass amnesty. Instead of processing the illegal immigrants and deporting them, the Democrats' solution is to legalize the illegals. Consider this. If there are too many thefts in this country, you can say that theft is not a crime so that you can eliminate theft crime completely. What an achievement. It's only self-deception. In fact, Democrats are already doing this in California. Under Proposition 47 from 2014, thefts under $950 are no longer a crime but a misdemeanor and cannot be prosecuted. So you see more and more of this happening.
Well, that looks great. Hold on.
Right now, some 5,000 Haitians are being processed by the Department of Homeland Security and 3,000 are in detention. more Haitians will be released into the United States in the coming days. On Saturday, we reported the final results of the Arizona audit presented at the Senate hearing on Friday. The full program was published on Rumble instead of YouTube. If you missed the Senate hearing, make sure you check out our Rumble episode in the description below. Over the weekend, the Arizona Senate published all the audit reports. Although the hand recount of the presidential race was very close to the official canvass results, on the finding summary table from Cyber Ninjas, more than 53,000 ballots were affected by various anomalies. That's greater than the victory margin of 45,000 votes in Maricopa County, and much greater than the margin of some 10,000 votes in Arizona. All these questionable votes were counted in the total presidential tally. Without an understanding of what exactly happened to these ballots, there's not much value to discuss the tally results. Senate President Karen Fann has forwarded the audit findings to Attorney General Mark Brnovich and recommended a further investigation. She noted a number of issues, including signature verification on mail-in ballots, accuracy of voter rolls, election system security, and record keeping of the evidence related to the elections. At the Friday hearing, Ben Cotton from Cypher reported they found the election servers was connected to the internet the day before the audit started. And almost at the same time, an administration user initially deleted election files from the system, including vote tally reports generated by the voting machines. Brnovich reacted quickly to Fann's request. In a statement on Friday afternoon, he said he'll take all necessary action supported by the evidence to further investigate the matter. Newly leaked grant proposals have once again turned people's attention to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. 18 months before the COVID-19 outbreak, scientists at the Wuhan lab were planning to release enhanced airborne coronavirus particles into bat caves in southern China. In the 2018 proposal, the scientists were seeking $14 million from the Research and Development Agency of the Defense Department, also known as DARPA, who submitted the bid. You shouldn't be surprised. President of EcoHealth Alliance, Dr. Peter Daszak, submitted the proposals. In the probe of the virus origins, we all learned how closely Daszak was working with the state-owned Wuhan lab. Daszak was particularly close to Dr. Shi Zhangli, the lead virologist of coronaviruses at the WIV. Dr. Shi is also known as the Batwoman. She was one part of the 10-member team in Daszak's proposal. According to the leaked documents, Shi's research team, Daszak and others, were preparing at least 4 extremely gruesome experiments, all of which were proposed by Daszak. Let's look at each one in detail. In the first experiment, Shi's team was to release skin-penetrating nanoparticles in aerosols containing novel chimeric spike proteins of bat coronaviruses. In other words, they planned to spray the genetically modified bat coronavirus to infect wild bats. They explained the purpose was to inoculate the bats, which means to build immunity in cave bats against diseases that could jump to humans. Now, this doesn't make much sense. What if the spray infected other animals or eventually humans? Besides, they had bats at the WIV. You really need to ask yourself, why would scientists go all the way to Yunnan, a southern province in China, 1,000 miles away from Wuhan, to conduct the experiment? A Chinese commentator in the US, Tong Jingyuan, offered his opinion. If this artificially modified virus enters the bats successfully and eventually adapted to its new environment inside the bats, the Chinese scientists could later claim they had discovered a novel coronavirus in wild bats and were able to isolate the virus. But at that point, the originally genetically modified virus had multiplied and mutated through many generations. It was then rediscovered as a naturally evolved coronavirus. Tang made a bold hypothesis. The coronavirus could be easily turned into a nanoparticles in aerosol spray, as Shi Zhengli's team had already experimented. Whoever deployed these potential bioweapons would be at most accused of using a virus with a natural origin, while the discovery of the virus itself was engineered. In the second study, the scientists were hoping to introduce human-specific cleavage sites to bat coronaviruses. These human-specific cleavage sites make the virus more infectious to human cells. Clearly, the proposal here is talking about gain of function. Gain of function is any type of virology research that results in the addition of a certain function. But the most notorious type is research that causes a pathogen to become more infectious, or in fact more deadly to humans. When COVID-19 was first genetically sequenced, scientists were puzzled about how the virus had evolved such a human-specific adaptation on the spike protein. This makes the virus contagious. At least we know now the scientists at the Wuhan lab already had a way in 2018 to effectively boost infection rate of a pathogen. The third study was more appalling. The grant proposal contained plans to enhance the deadly Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS. In 2017, MERS broke out in the Middle East. It also a member of the large family of coronavirus. The virus has a fatality rate of over 30%, an order of magnitude more deadlier than SARS-CoV-2. About 3 or 4 out of every 10 patients reported with MERS died. A COVID-19 researcher from the WHO, who wished to remain anonymous, was appalled by the proposal. The researcher said if the Wuhan lab could make MERS more infectious while maintaining how lethal it is, a pandemic from that would just mean the end of the world. Regardless, what's the possible benefit of enhancing an already deadly virus? What's the use of this type of research? The only explanation, considering the connection between the PLA and the Wuhan lab, is for military purposes. The fourth study was about merging highly pathogenic natural coronavirus strains with more infectious but less dangerous varieties, in the hope to obtain strains that are both dangerous and highly contagious. Now, again, no human being will benefit from this. What could the Chinese Communist Party do with them? The answer is obvious. And coming up, we will wrap up the information on the coronavirus proposal leak with possible continued research, and Democrats are in a stalemate over the budget bill. But before we continue, if you like our program, please hit the like button and subscribe. It'll force the algorithm to share this video to potentially thousands of people. And today, I get to thank Jesse, a fellow YouTuber, also known as Irish Guy JG, to the live chat family. Jesse sent me 3 awesome pictures enjoying his mugs that matter. Let me tell everyone that Jesse is so positive, and every comment he leaves puts a smile on my face. Jesse, I was on your channel yesterday, and you were saying you weren't feeling well, so let me say this. Keep persevering and get better, my friend, and thank you for purchasing your 2 mugs that matter. Your support is greatly appreciated. Salute. Back to the Wuhan lab story. Due to the horrors of those studies, DARPA rejected the grant application. It replied, quote, "It is clear that the proposed projects led by Peter Daszak could have put local communities at risk." It also warned the team didn't properly consider the dangers of enhancing the virus and releasing coronavirus into the air. Grant documents show that the team also had some concerns about the CAVE program. It said it would conduct educational outreach so that the public would understand what they were doing, particularly because locals eat bats. So was the WIV unable to perform these experiments after DARPA rejected it? The answer is likely no. Professor of Oncology at the University of London, Angus Dalglish, struggled to get this work published showing the Wuhan Institute of Virology was doing gain of function for years before the pandemic. He said the research may have gone ahead without funding from DARPA. Dr. Fauci's NIAID had sent $600,000 to the WIV between 2014 and 2019 through a grant to Daszak's EcoHealth Alliance to specifically study bat coronaviruses. No matter whether Fauci funded gain of function at the Wuhan lab directly or indirectly, not a single American dollar should be sent to a state-owned Chinese lab. And this one happens to be closely tied to the CCP military studying dangerous pathogens that infect humans. Today, the House is expected to vote on the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. At the time of writing, we didn't know the results. However, ahead of the vote, Biden said talks on the $3.5 trillion spending plan have hit a stalemate. Biden said the process is going to be up and down, while Republicans unanimously oppose the unchecked measures between the Democratic moderates and the progressives. There are major disagreements over taxes, health care, the climate change agenda, and the ultimate price tag. Of course, the staunchest opposition is from Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. Manchin was calling for a strategic pause to allow for more clarity of the direction of the pandemic and a clear picture of the inflation. These are sensible reasons not to push another $1 trillion spending bill amid an economy recovering from a devastating pandemic. But progressives don't have this concern. One of their priorities is to reward their corporate allies before losing majorities in Congress. To break the stalemate, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Sunday that it's self-evident that the final $3.5 trillion spending bill will be less than the original proposal. If the number is going to come down, Democrats will need more time to finalize their budget deal. Does this mean progressives have given in and will vote on the so-called bipartisan infrastructure deal first? We hope by the time we publish this episode, you will already have the answer. And that's it for today, my friends. Check out the playlist right here for more eye-opening content. You can join me in our Eye Opener Telegram chat room and follow me on Newmaker, Gab, Parler, and Getter. Now don't forget, please sign up to the email list so that we can stay in touch. I'd like to thank you all, and I'll see you next time.